Vinyl Gold 99.3 FM coming to you live from Papa Farm Pizza in downtown Knox, Indiana. Mitch, Columbe, along with General Manager Lenny Dessauer and Sports Analyst Chris McGowen. Good evening, Chris.
Still calling me that, huh?
Well, of course. That's what we pay you for.
What else would he call you? Sports Master?
We're on the air, so
okay.
We're on the air. Yeah, that's a big step. Well, we are so excited. Tonight is our 2024 season preview show. We will be talking with all 6 of our high school boys football head coaches. That's West Central's own Marc Hall. We're also going to talk with Winamac's own Josh Burgess, then the Culver Cavaliers' Austin Foust, Russ Radtke. He's going to be on the show this evening of the Knox Redskins, Brett Lambert of the North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jays, and South Central Satellite's own Buzz Schoff. Chris, we had a chance to go around and see some of these schools. Anything that stuck out from the practices that you attended?
I was really impressed with how North Judson looked that early. West Central, obviously, with all the graduation, a young team, but working their tails off, and Winamac in the same boat. So, you talk about week one, you talk about rivalries. You got Judson Knox week one, but you also got Winamac West Central. So the Battle of Pulaski County, the Battle of Stark County, going to be a good, fun week, that's for sure. And it's going to be a great show tonight. So, hey, if you're in the area, come on into Papa Farm, sit around, and you can see the coaches and listen to us and just watch and have a good time and eat some good food.
Yeah, of course, we couldn't go without saying thank you to Papa Farm Pizza. Of course, our own General Manager, Lenny Dessauer. This is his place as well. Well, you do a little bit of everything, Lenny.
Well, yeah, between this and that,
You're still awake.
I am at the moment. I didn't get an afternoon nap, but we're doing all right. But I'm excited. I always love when football season gets ready to go and we do these shows.
Well,
I love
and you're the one that actually kind of brought this idea to me a few years ago. This was something that you had done at a previous station you'd worked at before.
Yeah, we had at the station before, and then I always thought it was a good idea. We just could not get it. We just couldn't get traction on it. And then when brought you in as sports director, I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's do this. And you were like, sure, let's give it a shot. And we did, and I think it works out well. And also, I brought it to our sister station because they're having theirs tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Max 98.3 FM. Of course, between both of us, we're covering upwards of 16 schools, 8 on WKVI, nearly 8 on Max 98.3 FM. Man, we are really working hard. Good luck to Tony the Boss Ross and crew throughout their season. Of course, they're covering some Knox Redskin matchups this season where Knox was in the Hoosier North Athletic Conference. Now that they're in this new conference, Max was able to pick up 3 broadcasts of the Knox Redskins. So the Knox Redskins are not only going to get 3 on WKVI, they're going to get 3 broadcasts on Max 98.3 FM. 6 games total this season, the regular season for the Knox Redskins. KVB has you covered, as tonight's broadcast is brought to you in part by Nepco Crane and Equipment Services, specializing in mobile crane service. Call Joe Nepp at 1-800-590-2272 for all your residential, commercial, and agricultural crane needs. We talk about the West Central Trojans, Chris. Last year, actually the last couple of years, have been really, really good for Marc Hall and company. 10-2 in 2022, 8-3 last season. He talked briefly about the exiting seniors and also about having the underclassmen have to step up. What's something else you're expecting to hear from Marc Hall hopefully tonight in terms of preparation for this year?
Just to hear him and what he thinks this West Central Trojan football team can do. The nice thing about having all those seniors is the fact that those underclassmen can learn how to win, which is what West Central has done the last 2 years. So you look for them to step up and do what they need to do and leave their legacy and set their mark. So it's going to be kind of interesting to hear what he has to say about how the scrimmage went and what he was looking forward to getting out of that scrimmage and whether or not the big question around the table is going to be tonight: did everybody come out of that scrimmage healthy?
Yeah.
But as far as West Central goes, those young kids, how fast can they grow up and get ready for the Friday Night Lights? Because going from JV football to varsity football is a big step.
Huge step. And then we talk about the Winamac Warriors staying in Pulaski County. This will be Josh Burgess' 3rd year already leading the charge. Of course, he is a Winamac alum. You got to love Josh Burgess. Every time you get a chance to talk talk to him, you just feel like he is the guy for the job. It's just been a couple of tough years, 2-8 in 2022, 3-7 last year. But from talking with him and it being at practices, it looks like they're hoping to take that big next step this year.
And they are, and they will. You walk and just watching their practice. Josh Burgess is hands on. He's all over the place. There's not a drill going on that he's not adding to it.
Yeah.
He's very high energetic. So again, those, and Winamac's going to be young too. I think they're going to start a freshman quarterback maybe, so look out. As long as he can stay healthy and not get frustrated, some big things are on the horizon for Winamac. But again, Josh Burgess is one of those guys that he's just fun to be around. And he's not going to sugarcoat anything. He's going to tell you like it is in the proper way. And just one of those guys that you hope and you want to see succeed just because he does it the right way.
He does do it the right way. And every time we talk with him, he's just so much fun. And he's always gracious with his time, too. He never has a problem with us coming to practice. None of our coaches really do. They really enjoy us coming to practice. But I always do enjoy getting down to Winamac and seeing Josh Burgess and company. And we're excited to see him later on this evening. Of course, the coaches will be showing up here at about 7 Eastern, 6 Central. I told them to kind of trickle in at their leisure this year as Chris and I will have a chance to talk, and then maybe a coach will show up and we'll chat with them one at a time. But we're hoping to get a little banter between these coaches back and forth. It's kind of been like pulling teeth to get that the last couple of years.
Well, it all comes down to they don't want to give any bulletin board material, so it's one of those keep the cards close to the chest.
Yeah. Normally what I have to do is Radtke. I have to keep my finger on the button is what I normally do because he's relaxed when he's here, and I worry.
Well, just as long as he keeps his pants pulled up this time, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
A highlight from last season I don't think we will ever forget. Russ Radtke, always such an honor to be able to talk with him. 48th season coaching Indiana high school football. We'll talk about the Knox Redskins here in a moment, but I wanted to button up Pulaski County for our two area schools that we cover. Historically, Chris and Lenny, we have historically done or broadcasted that battle for Pulaski County for the Tomahawk Trophy being on the line due to the fact the Knox Redskins and the North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jays are facing off in week 1. I think most of our listeners know we definitely needed to be there for that game.
Right.
But in terms of not being able to cover West Central and Winamac, I thought, how do we get at least some sort of coverage on the air? And I thought, well, let's just send Justin Ruff, our sideline reporter, who's done a fantastic job with his Winamac podcast. He's diving in a little bit deeper into some of the sports that we don't normally get to cover as much as we'd like to. A big-time shout-out to Justin Ruff. We brought him on board last year, and now he's taken the next step of trying to bring more notoriety to Winamac sports. But he will be in Winamac this coming Friday, live and on location, to give Chris and I up-to-date reports so that we can still somewhat be a part of that amazing, historic cross-county rivalry going on in Pulaski County. We now move to Stark County, and we talk about the Knox Redskins. Arguably, Chris, the greatest history in Knox Redskin football history. I know this is only my 3rd year I'm starting in the area, but after looking at the books, that is an argument that could be stated.
Oh, by far. I mean, no team has ever made it to a semi-state. No Knox team has ever made it to a semi-state. I mean, heck, they just won their first sectional, 4 or 5 years ago. So, it's a program that is definitely trending in the right direction. But again, they've had flashes here and there. They've had some great seasons throughout the history of Knox football. But as far as consistency, this is in longevity, the last 7-8 years has been the best in Knox football program history for sure.
Here's the growth for Russ Radtke's Knox Redskin team. He started in 2020 with the Knox Redskins. They went 6-5. 2021, 5-7. 2022, 9-4. Last year in 2023, 13-1. They make it to semi-state. I find it interesting, Chris. Coach Radtke had mentioned to me at the end of last year in one of those pregame interviews that we post on social media, he said we may be a year ahead ahead of what we had projected, but we're here. We are going into Indianapolis. That was one of the things that he had mentioned he wanted to accomplish. They did get to Indianapolis, just a few miles north there in Broad Ripple at Bishop Chatard. So very interesting how things played out last year. I talked to Russ last week, and I think you saw that interview on social media. He said, we're on track this year. So that'd be a great question to ask Russ Radtke. What's he mean by being on track this year?
Yeah, exactly. Making it to the semi-state, we're going to start off week one. You talk about Stark County football. We're going to start off week one with two teams that made it to the semi-state.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat. North Judson in the Indiana Football Coaches Association polls ranked number 1 in Class 1A in the preseason. Knox comes in Class 3A ranked 5th in the Indiana Football Coaches Association poll, preseason poll. So a lot riding, not only bragging rights, but really a statement win that could really set the tone for the rest of the season for both of these schools.
My goodness, when you think about the Knox Redskins, the North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jays, you think of what just happened last season and making it to semi-state, but you forget Judson is still a 1A school, Knox is a 3A school, and you have two of arguably some of the best football going on in the same county in Indiana, something to be very proud about, and I think head coach Russ Radtke said Stark County will have a lot to be proud about. I think Brett Lambert would agree with that.
Oh, I think, both coaches would agree with that statement. The last several years, North Judson coming off back-to-back semi-state appearances. They've been knocking on the door. Adams Central has moved up. In Class 1A, North Judson, as long as they stay healthy, they are the pick to make it down to the oil can Thanksgiving weekend to represent Class 1A. Again, how North Judson handles that pressure, is going to be key to their success this year.
Yeah, you talk about the North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jays, back-to-back regional champions, back-to-back semi-state appearances. I mean, head coach Brett Lambert is making waves in just the first decade of his head coaching term.
Yeah, this is his sixth season, I believe.
Yes.
So, again, setting the tone and setting that bar very high.
I mean, you almost start to ask, of all the amazing coaches that North Judson St. Pierre has had, has there been a coach do as much that has been done within the first 6 years of their coaching stint?
Would probably have to go to back to the time when Russ Radtke was the head coach at North Judson.
And we have both of those coaches in this county.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, again, it's just a great time to be a part of Stark County football, and it's a great time to be a part of KVB broadcasting, because I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot of fun.
We do get all the inside access. Of course, we go to practices. We are invested in this area. The coaches allow us to come to their practices, interview them. They are on the Saturday Sports Line weekly throughout the season. Win or loss, these coaches show up. I think that's a testament to the history of this broadcasting station, especially when it comes to sports and what Harold Welter started all those years ago back in 1969.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but again, and it started where all the coaches would come in every Saturday, kind of like what we're going to do tonight. Every Saturday, the coaches would come in and sit around a kitchen table and actually talk. So
this is going to be cool.
It's going to be kind of cool, and like I said, I kind of hope we get some people from the community, any community, Judson, Knox, Winamac, West Central, whatever, Culver, to come in and sit down and actually see what goes on and see what goes into a radio broadcast from a remote broadcast, and get to know these guys and see them outside of the coaching realm.
Well, that is the first three teams in our area. We're going to take a quick break here, come back. We'll finish up the rest of our three teams. That's, of course, the North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jays, the Culver Cavaliers, and the South Central Satellites. We're going to talk with Chris, get a little bit more inside information of what he thinks is going to happen this season, and then closer to 7 Eastern, 6 Central, we should see some of the coaches start to trickle in. We're getting pizza made, of course, by Papa Farm Pizza here in Knox. We so appreciate them. As we're going to take a quick... Oh, you got something to say?
Well, I was just going to say, the pizza. Can't forget the pizza.
Can't forget the... Yeah, the pizza's coming soon.
Thank you, boss man.
Yeah, the pizza's coming soon.
Yeah. I like to feed people. Sure.
Yeah,
It's coming soon. As soon as the first coaches arrive, then Julie will start making
I'm
pizza.
getting paid to talk football and eat pizza. It doesn't get much better.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, we hope you guys stick around for an amazing season preview show, as this is the first sports broadcast of our 2024-2025 season here on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. KVB's WKVI Sports is back on the air this season for the 2024-2025 season. Since 1969, we have been your local sports provider, and we are proud to continue this amazing tradition. Mitch Columbe, along with sports analyst Chris McGowen and general manager Lenny Dessauer, we are at Papa Farm Pizza in here in downtown Knox. What's on your mind now, Chris?
I was just thinking before we get started.
What were you saying?
I thought I had him.
Oh, I was just saying before.
There he is.
Before
Fat
we get started.
fingers.
Yeah. Unmute me. Thank you.
I don't know about that.
Now you know it's not just me.
What's going on? I can't get no respect around here. But anyway.
Here we go.
Before we get started into talking about these other teams, let's talk about some of the people that take care of us, that allow us to do this, Mitch. Who's sponsoring us this year?
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. Good point. Without our sponsors, we wouldn't be able to continue this wonderful tradition. A lot of people, a lot of grandchildren, a lot of mothers, fathers, a lot of grandparents have listened to WKVI Sports over the years. These are the people, these are the businesses that care about what we do and want to see this tradition continue. We all start off with Stark County Co-op, 5-star, of course, Collins Insurance, Coca-Cola, Standard Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, Pulaski Memorial Hospital, The Auto Park, LAP Waste. We just got LAP Waste on. Congratulations and welcome aboard. We appreciate them helping support and continue the tradition. Zingo Express, of course, has been a long supporter of WKVI Sports. Culver's Portside Marina, McGrath Refrigeration, Marc's Body Shop, Lawrence Farms, First Farmers Bank and Trust, Howard's Marathon of Winamac, Farm Fertilizer, Kankakee Valley REMC, Nepco Crane and Equipment Services, Osborne Advantage Real Estate, who just recently signed up with us. We appreciate Donna and Steve Osborne. Also just joining KVB's WKVI Sports is Keener Construction. Chad King, big time shout out to him, as well as Sideline Automotive, who just signed up with us, Joey and Stephanie. We sure do appreciate the new additions for our new season upcoming here shortly, here in just a few days on Friday. Also, of course, everyone knows Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack provides all of us with everything you see when it comes to gear, clothing, hatting. That's been done at Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack. When you see me walking around doing these interviews with coaches on social media, thank you to Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack, also a big-time sponsor of the Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week, given out each week on the Saturday Sports Line, the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana, thanks to our very own Harold Welter.
I do love the swag, I got to be honest. So
Tina does a good job.
Yeah, she does. And again, for those businesses that are listening right now and you want to get involved to allow us to do this, I mean, it takes money. And,
it does.
Let's not beat around the bush. There's costs into doing this, and to be able to broadcast and go and travel and do these games and talk about these young high school kids, it's a privilege. I mean, I got into this about 10 years ago, just because I can remember listening to Harold Welter and Coach Holcomb, every night after a game or whatever, and just wanting to hear your name mentioned. Your name mentioned on the radio, and listening to the other coaches talk about you or your team. It just what it means and what it does. I mean, it's just something that you can't really describe. And again, thank you to the sponsors that we have. And if you want to get involved, just hook up with Mitch at WKVI, and we can take care of you.
Yeah, direct message me on social media. Email me, Mitch at WKVI.com. We appreciate all of our sponsors, along with the last one here, Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox, for being part of this amazing tradition. I think there goes something in saying about the tradition, Chris. There's national news, there's big city news. I like to say we're big city sound and a small town feel. And that's kind of what I think the radio station here in Knox is about. I think it's about getting localized, being more local, and diving into these communities that don't get the limelight like they should.
Yeah, I mean what we put on the air every Friday night during the football season and during the winter season, during basketball season. I tell you what, is for a small station, it's a class act. It's top notch, and I don't know how many times I've been told or been asked, "Are you really down on the field?" When you're doing these sideline, cool. and yes, I am down on the field. So it's just one of those things, that people just they really don't believe. And how many times I've said, you are, when people come and watch a game and they see me down there with the microphone and
you are
all the swag. Yeah, I am down on the field. So for us to be able to do that, and that comes to you and Lenny putting your heads together and coming up with the idea of being able to do that and how to get it done is just simply amazing.
I think that does stand out. A lot of broadcasts do have sideline reporters. That's not what you are at all. You are doing color commentary on the field, from the field, and I don't think a lot of people think about that. Color commentators are usually up in the booth next to the broadcaster, play-by-play announcer, where I'm alone. I'm alone by myself in the booth, and I'm talking to someone down on the field, and I feel like you get more angles than you would up in the booth. You get more of a vantage point.
You can actually see it better up in the booth, but having been a football coach for most of my adult life, I know what to look for and what to see and how to see it. So that helps me. That helps me be able to color commentate from the field. Not only that, but I can also, now that we're able to mute my mic, I can actually get a little bit closer to the coaches
and hear what's going on.
Hear what's going on, so that that's very beneficial as well.
Well, we'll finish up these last three schools, and then one of our coaches just showed up here. We'll talk about him in just a moment. We appreciate him being here, but we just were mentioning the North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jays, back-to-back-to-back semi-state appearances, back-to-back-to-back regional champions. The last couple of seasons, head coach Brett Lambert and his team went 12-2 in 2022 and then 9-5 last season. Something I'm interested to ask head coach Brett Lambert about is something he had told me early on in the season last year, Chris, was where he said he felt like the team was having a semi-state hangover. And my question to him would be, how do you make sure now that you've gone through that last year that doesn't happen this year?
I think the fact that it happened helped you get through that, and you don't want to, these seniors, what they've gone through and what they've been able to do. I mean, you think about and talk about all the football that they've been able to play because of making it to the semi-state for 3 years. You don't want anything less than that, for sure. So I think having gone through that experience and then having gone through the dog days of just the grind from week to week, I think they've learned a lot from that. And, I honestly think after that Triton loss last year, I think Coach Lambert may have had a come-to-Jesus moment with his kids. So I don't think they want to feel that wrath again.
Well, we move on and talk about the Culver Cavaliers. Of course, Austin Foust will be entering his second season. It was some growing pains last year for head coach Foust, but he stayed positive throughout the entire season. He was on every Saturday sports line. I tip my hat to somebody like that when they go through adversity like that. And we kind of talked off the air. I don't think he'd mind me saying this, but just in some text with Coach Foust, I said, a good friend of mine said one time, and I brought this up on the Saturday sports line, is there's beauty in the struggle, because when the good times come, it's going to mean a lot more because of what you've been through.
Yeah, it's all part of that growth, that maturation that you talk about. And again, Culver lost a couple good seniors from last year's squad. I think the numbers are up, which is always a positive. Football is one of those sports where you have to have numbers. You just can't. You can't go out there and expect to play Ironman football where the 11 guys on offense turn around and play the same 11 on defense. That's no way to go. So you got to develop those numbers, get those numbers. And I think Culver's heading in the right direction that way. So again, going to be young, learning experience, but they've added some teams onto the schedule. I think that they might be able to get some success here early, and maybe that can build some confidence in these young kids.
Two things about Culver that stick out to me in practice is they have a teacher's aide of some sort or an assistant coach that sign languages to a couple of players that are deaf. And every time I go to practice, I think that is amazing. She is signing everything that the coach is saying so that the players know exactly what to do. It's just something special at Culver I've noticed over the last few years. Another thing, their coaching staff. They got a great coaching staff. We've talked with several of them before, Coach Kling being one of them. Another addition this year that I found out was Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, coming back from UMass.
The D1 athlete that we talked about last year. He has been hired at Culver and now will be an assistant coach for the Culver Cavs. I think that's a pretty cool story.
Well, yeah, coming back to his alma mater and then being able to help out, and the experiences that he has had playing Division I football, it's invaluable. And, and the kids are going to look up to him, and he's going to have that respect just because of what he's gone through and where he's been. So that's invaluable coming back to Culver for Coach Foust.
Yeah, very excited for the Culver Cavs and taking the next step this season. We button things up with our last school we'll talk about here, the South Central Satellites. Head coach Buzz Schoff enters year 8 here, Chris.
Again, South Central the last couple years have just been bitten by the injury bug. So you just never know what to expect. I mean, you would think that after 2 seasons of what he's gone through with all the injuries that he's due to have a season where, health takes precedent and the kids actually are able to complete a full season. So I think what they've been able to do the last couple years has built maybe a little bit more depth than what they're probably accustomed to because of all the injuries. And so let's see if they can put that all together this year, and hopefully they stay healthy, knock on wood, and are able to get everybody through an entire season.
And they're entering the Hoosier North Athletic Conference, so they'll be playing a lot more of our area teams this season. Yeah,
we're going to see them a lot more because, granted their schedule, and they already played Culver and all that, but I'm curious to see the old, South Central, North Judson, now that that's on the schedule. That's going to be an interesting matchup. But again, it just made sense for South Central to join the Hoosier North Athletic Conference and, to get in. I mean, they play – I think they have played Winamac in sectional, so a lot of familiarity there. So it just makes sense to get them on board in the Hoosier North Athletic.
We have a lot of exciting entertainment coming your way this evening. We will have a chance to talk with all 6 of our area high school football coaches. I have been told we may see all 6 of them here in person, Chris. So I'm very excited about that. I also wanted to wish you a very happy birthday. You're working on your birthday here, Chris. What are you, 39 now?
27. It's like my 21st.
You're younger than me now.
Yeah, 21st annual, 27th birthday. I don't know, something like that. But hey, I follow the man.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
The leader here, Lenny Dessauer had a birthday yesterday, so him and I need to hook up and end up celebrating our birthdays together. We need to make it a birthday month.
It's a birthday week.
Well,
when
we need to go birthday month.
When you get as far up as I am, it's birthday week. Then a month, then when I get in my 60s.
Well, I just wanted to give a quick happy birthday shout out to both of our. Hey, these 2 men right here make things happen for me. Lenny Dessauer is just the man, the myth, the legend, literally.
Well, to get me to show up, Lenny told me I was getting paid triple time. So
you got to say that on the air now to get it locked in.
Right, yeah, get it locked in.
Well, let's take a break. We'll go to the top of the hour. News and weather on the way. We'll talk with head coach Josh Burgess of the Winamac Warriors. He just showed up to get some pizza. I'm glad to see you, Coach. But you are listening to the season preview show here on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Sorry, we were talking is what happened, and then I forgot to let you guys know. I'm new at this, and I'm not really good at this, so
Stop.
Sorry.
What, you've only been in radio since, 1984?
Yeah, 83. But we won't hold that against me. No.
Well, we're having a good time here.
We were chatting, and I realized that we were out of commercial.
1983, I was 7.
Yeah. I don't need to hear that.
Well, we're having a good time here at Papa Farm Pizza in downtown Knox. Mitch, Columbe, along with sports analyst Chris McGowen and general manager Lenny Dessauer. It's the season preview show. We've had one of our coaches just show up a few moments ago. It's head coach of the Winamac Warriors, Josh Burgess. Good evening, Coach. Appreciate you being here.
Appreciate you guys having me up. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Coach, you enter your third season as the head coach of the Winamac Warriors, and we talked over the last 2 years how young your teams have been, but also how you have told us you never have to question your players' work ethic. Are you excited about this season, and what have you been working on in terms of taking the next step?
Yeah, just always excited to start back up. Something new every year. New group of kids in different positions. So, just really excited to see how our kids kind of fall into those positions and spots where we have them, and how they respond to what we want to do. So, we're always just working at trying to get better every day, trying to be more consistent in our preparation and our mental approach, getting good physical reps in too. And again, I never question our kids. They come and they show up and they work hard, and that makes it easier for us to try to get done what we need to get done.
You mentioned, real quick, in the Indiana Football Digest, in order for 2024 to be successful, you need to continue to improve the team's strength and speed. How has that come along this summer?
Really well. The core group of kids that we've had showed up. They show up and they do the job in the weight room, and I'm really excited too. I think I talked to you a little bit the other day. I'll give a lot of credit to our administration. When I got back, we had 2 advanced PE classes. Last year we had 4. We've got 6 that we have now, so we've got a full day of advanced PE with all our football kids, and not only our football kids, but we're getting all our athletes in, or trying to get all our athletes in. I've got cross-country kids, I got soccer kids, and volleyball, softball. So our administration has made a point to make that a priority. So I think that's going to pay big dividends for us down the road too. But with our football team, I was really happy with how everybody showed up and the work they did over the summer.
You talk about your kids working hard, and I think a lot of that stems from the head coach. When they come out to practice and they see their head coach working as hard as he is, they don't have any other choice but to follow your lead. And so I don't know if you heard what we had said earlier, but you're a high motor guy, you're hands-on on everything. So those kids see that and they feed off of that. And just kudos to you for your work ethic, and this ship's going to get righted, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I'll give a lot of credit to my coaching staff too. They make me look good. I've got just a wonderful coaching staff that has a lot of experience. You talk about Marc Hendricks being 37 years, Brandon, my little brother. It's hard to believe he's coached for 18 years now, and It doesn't seem possible. We got Levi Schultz, a former player, and then Guy Rugg, who we brought back on this year. All former Winamac players and Winamac guys. So, they make it a lot easier on me by what they do every day.
And that speaks volume. People, you talk about, the programs in the area, and I've been asked, how come, a team like North Judson, how come they have the program? How come they have so much success? You look at that coaching staff, and 90% of it is former players. You got former players coming back to Winamac. You got former players coming back to Culver. Coach Foust just joins us. Kids that have played in the program, that take pride in the program and want to see the program succeed. That speaks volumes to being able to continue the success and to build some credence to what it is that you're trying to teach them.
Yeah, and I know we're all the same as head coaches too. We always look for guys that are great guys and great role models for our kids. And I've always believed the football coaching is secondary. Now, don't get me wrong, we've got great football coaches and great football guys too, but they're better people and better role models for the kids. So those are the kinds of people we want to put around our young athletes. So again, we have fun in practice. We get our work done. But we try to have fun with the kids and make it a good experience for them because they're high school kids. We want to win as many games as we can, and we've got stuff we all need to get done. But at the end of the day, we want to try to give them a good experience that they remember and give them some lessons that they can take forward as they move into adulthood.
Now, when we were at practice, we were there for a defensive practice, and my question to you is, because I've been to a Judson practice and I've seen how that goes. Coach Danny McGowen, the hooting and the hollering hollering and the talking of smack back and forth between the coaches. Does that happen at a Winamac practice when you get an offense and defense going against each other? Do the coaches start getting after each other a little bit?
A little bit. You know, I like giving Coach Schultz Coach Schultz usually will run our scout team for us, so he's over there, and he's still, you know, hey, he hasn't been out that long. You know, this is his third year, and he played for us in 2013. Was just a fantastic player for us, very competitive. So yeah, he likes to, you know, run option this week with West Central. He likes to run the midline, the triple, and he'll let the kids know when he gets outside of them and voice it a little bit. So and the kids enjoy that. They enjoy being around that, and you know, seeing that, hey, you know, yeah, we got some work to do, and you know, we're going to prepare seriously, but we can have a little bit of fun
too, right?
Yeah.
Something that I saw yesterday on social media. Of course, you were gracious enough to let me come to practice, and some of those pictures that I posted, you know, Al Breifogel, of course, and he's a long-time fan of WKVI. He's been on the air with us multiple times. I think he did a sports line with me last year. But one thing he mentioned, he posted or made a comment on Facebook. I don't know if you saw it. He said, I love seeing the coaches being involved and actually physically showing them picking up a bag and letting the kid hit them with it and being physical with the kids. I mean, physical in terms of, you know, coaching. But Al Breifogel said, as someone that has been at Winamac for as long as he had, to see former Winamac Warriors come back and be leaders on the field, he just said that's Warrior Nation at its finest.
Yeah, you got to set the example for the kids, and you know, my coaching staff's not afraid to get in there and get their hands dirty and get after stuff. So, and again, I think the kids enjoy that too. They know that, you know, we'll still jump in a drill and we'll still, you know, give them a little bit of a hard time and get after them a little bit. So, again, you know, hey, we want to win football games. We have as much success as we can, but giving those kids those memories and, you know, some life lessons they can carry forward as they get older. That's if we can do that and win a couple games along the way, we've had some success.
Next question would be you know, we know several of the returning players for Winamac, but maybe what are some players in your mind that are going to stand out that we will potentially be talking about this season?
Yeah, I'll start with the senior class. Senior class is not very big. You know, we've only got 4 seniors, but they're going to play a huge role as far as what we're doing. You talk about a kid like Talon Garner. You mentioned weight room and weight room preparation. The kid lives in the weight room. You know, he lives at school. He lives out of school. He's just physically in fantastic shape, and he's a vocal leader too. He's an ornery kid, but he knows when to, you know, focus in and get work done. So he kind of sets the tone for us. You talk about hooting and hollering. He was out there hooting and hollering. He was excited about defensive day tonight and getting after it, and he was letting everybody know at the start of practice. So he's a kid we're going to look to provide some leadership for us. Addison Allen, another kid that's come back. We're going to ask him to play some fullback for us this year. A little bit different role offensively than what he's had in the past, but he's done a good job of accepting that role, and he's going to be a good leader for us too. Aiden Schooler will eventually get in for us as a DB and a receiver, and again, he's kind of a vocal kid that the kids like, and he sets the tone. And then Reed Anderson is a senior that didn't play last year for us, and he's back out. We're really happy to have Reed back out. He's offensive line. He's going to play some linebacker for us too. So, and I think he's happy to be back out. So, you know, it starts with the seniors. You know, you go down the junior list. We've got some juniors that are going to contribute with Ethan Burgess and Cale Federer and Hayden Taylor. You know, those are 3 that kind of stand out as well. You know, and we've got some other ones too that are going to play significant roles. A new kid like Caden Runk, who's never played football before, has come out and done some things for us, might contribute on some special teams. So, you know, we're excited about our junior group and the other kids I didn't mention. And then just sophomores, we've got some sophomores that have some experience. You know, Tierson Wolford had a linebacker, had to step in as a freshman last year, and when we inserted him into the lineup, we started to play a little bit better defensively. So he's got experience. Cody Wheeler was a starter on the offensive line. He's back for us too. Ivan Cardenas is a kid that's going to play a role. Lewis Rugg will be involved in the mix too. So and then we just have a really good freshman class as far as numbers are concerned. You know, right around 12 to 15 of those kids. Big class for us. They've had some success in middle school, so we're excited to get the freshman class on board and see what some of those kids can do in certain situations too.
You know, I find is interesting is with the conference shakeup, you won't be playing Knox, from what I've been told, the first time since the 1990s. Correct me if I'm wrong in saying that. But you're going to be taking on. It's a totally different schedule if you really think about it. I mean, week 1, you got to face your historic cross county rival. I'll ask that question later when both Marc Hall and you are here. I have a question literally for both of you, and then Judson and Knox, just to gauge how that is going for week 1. on. But in terms of the full season, when you look at the whole season as a whole, is there anything you're looking forward to? Is there any things that kind of took you off guard a little bit since it's a change?
Yeah, hey, change is always good and not so good at some points. Hey, we lose that historic rival in Knox, but I like how our schedule sets up. We get to start off with 2 non-conference games. Now, obviously, the first one is a big one with that county rivalry. We also picked up Frontier week 2 and go down there, and we haven't played Frontier at Winamac since 2014, I believe, in the old Midwest Conference. So it's been a while since we've been down there, but I like how the schedule sets up. It gives us a chance in non-conference situation to get some things ironed out before we get into that conference schedule week 3 with Pioneer. So I hate to lose really good teams that tested us like Knox and LaVille, but I think what we picked up, and I think with North Miami and South Central coming in, they add some things to the conference too. So I'm excited. It's something different. We're going to see some different teams that we haven't traditionally seen for a while. So just excited to see how that kind of plays out and shakes out.
Well, no, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, let's go back a week and let's talk about the scrimmage. Going into that scrimmage, what were you expecting? The one thing I learned real quick as a head coach or as an assistant coach watching all the film, nothing is as bad as it ever seemed and nothing is as good as it ever seemed. The eye in the sky never lies. Was there anything going into that scrimmage that you thought you were going to do really well that you kind of struggled at? Anything that surprised you? Were you able to come out of the scrimmage healthy?
Yeah, that's the main thing, and that's what I talked about when we've talked about the scrimmage. A couple of people, we got it healthy, and that's priority number 1. The other thing too, I just wanted to see how our kids would compete. We're finally in a live game type situation, and I thought our kids did well. Rochester's a great scrimmage for us. They're physical. They're going to come after you. They've got good fronts on both sides of the ball. Good fullback. They moved in with the Bet kid who placed in the state of wrestling last year. So that's a really good test for us to see where we're at. Nothing too surprising out of it. I thought our kids competed. I thought as it went on, it got a little bit better. I was really happy with our JV kids the last session of 8 and 8 because you just don't know with those kids coming into high school. And I thought that those kids handled themselves really well, and kind of looking forward to see what they're doing with our JV schedule this year. So, we got out healthy. I think we saw what we needed to see and kind of accomplished what we needed to accomplish with that scrimmage.
Well, we're not done with you yet, Coach. We're going to let some of the other coaches file in. We're hoping for a little cross banter here. Of course, you're going to see the Culver Cavs this season. You're also going to see the South Central Satellites this season as head coach Buzz Schoff gets here. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back, chat off the air a little bit. We're going to take a break, Lenny. We appreciate everything you do, but we appreciate our listeners tonight as this is the season preview show here on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. Welcome back to the season preview show here on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. The fun has already started. We've had a couple of more coaches come in. Of course, Buzz Schoff for the South Central Satellites. We see Austin Foust of the Culver Cavaliers. And Russ Radtke is here in the building having some pizza. We're letting the coaches eat. But, man, Chris, here with sports analyst Chris McGowen. We've talked with Winamac head coach Josh Burgess. He's still here eating some pizza. Pretty excited here for the Winamac season. But what do you got to say?
I just got to say, to get Coach Radtke here this early, what time did you tell him it started? 1?
No, I told him to show at his leisure this year. I said, you come at your convenience, Coach. He said, I'll be there. So here he is. Of course, I did text him about 10 minutes ago, you are coming, right?
I thought maybe, it's kind of like how we have to treat my mom. She's late to everything. So if we want to leave at 10, we have to tell her, hey, we're leaving at 8:30. So, as busy as he is, as much coaching as he's done, I figured maybe you told him it started at 1 and he'd show up on time.
Well, hungry. He's hungry, he says. Well, and I believe head coach Brett Lambert of the North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jays, as well as our final coach Marc, the West Central Trojans, they are on their way. I assume they're listening while they're on their way because I wanted to let all the coaches know that are here right now, as well as listening on their way. Chris is now trained for the Saturday Sports Line. so you won't have to worry if a catastrophe happens.
It would have been a show in itself seeing me, Coach Radtke, Coach Burgess, and Coach Lambert try to figure out how to turn the radio on to go live. I mean, it was comical. Coach Radtke's pushing me out of the way. Here, I can do it. Let's just try pushing these buttons. I mean, it was comical. It would have been worth the price of admission just to see that conversation take place. And if we'd have got on the air, I'm telling you what, it probably would have, no offense, Mitch, probably would have been the best show of the year. Well, and that's why I've trained. Maybe the last. That's right, Coach Radtke. But I just wanted to make that known to the coaches now. Chris is trained for the Saturday Sports Line. So if barring any catastrophes this season, we won't have to worry. Chris is ready to go. Yeah, and all he told me was Christmas tree. Yeah, so I'm good. Whatever that means, we'll figure it out. Lights. He knows the lights. But, man, just a lot of excitement here. We see Brett Lambert joining us tonight, having some pizza. It's just going to be a lot of fun. But let's talk a little bit about the Culver Cavs with head coach Austin Foust. Head coach Austin Foust enters his second year as the head coach of the Culver Cavaliers. The Cavs graduated another good running back in Jack Rogers last year, where they had Shane Schumann for close to a decade before. Just kidding. But one thing that stuck out to me, Coach, is when you said in the Indiana Football Digest, we must be able to do the little detailed things needed to be successful on Friday night. We know you have the McGowen brothers coming back, and they definitely gained a lot of varsity experience last year at the QB and wide receiver positions. Have your Cavs, in your opinion, taken the necessary steps to give you the success come Friday night?
I mean, I hope so. I feel like we've had a good summer. We've got the core group of our kids there every day. Our kids work hard. But, yeah, we really focus on the little details and things we always talk. I know, it probably took a little bit for our kids, but, we went to Caston last year, and, schools have carpet, and you're not supposed to walk, and you walk on the carpet with your cleats kind of things. And, we come out of the locker room, and, we're walking on the floor, and we get yelled at because, we're not on the carpet. And it's just like, guys, we can't even walk on the carpet to go out to a game. Like, how do we expect to win a game? If we can't do those kind of things, and those are things we're trying to let our kids understand, and not even just as Coach Burgess has mentioned multiple times. Like, obviously everybody here wants to win as many games as possible, but we want these kids to graduate and be successful people, and those are things you have to be able to do. Follow directions, do the little things, even when you think you don't need to, or it's tedious, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we like where we're at, hopefully, and hopefully Friday we really like where we are.
Talk about your spread offense that returned 7 starters. What do you hope to see from this year's offensive attack?
Yeah, points. That'd be nice, right? Light up the scoreboard. That'd be a good start if we could do that. No, just not turn the ball over. Just literally just try to improve where we kind of were. Last year we just were physically outmatched. So we spent a lot of time, obviously, in the weight room, that kind of things. But, and really tried to, stress to our guys, what it felt like to get pushed around. I mean, and it'd be kind of fun to do it the other way. Be the guys pushing people around and in drives and plays and pancakes and things like that. And we've had some guys that have showed really good growth. And, we're still a little bit, I think, behind and having to get there because we got some young guys still, playing in some positions. But, offensively, we've got to be probably more balanced than we have. I mean, we don't have – I wish we had a Jack. I wish we had a Shane Schumann for a 12th year. But we really don't have those guys. We're going to have to try to spread around and be a little more by committee this year.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to bring up was you will be taking on, of course, the South Central Satellites. That rivalry did not go anywhere. I'm so happy about that. Of course, we'll see you there for that game. And then also you're taking on the Winamac Warriors. With both coaches here right now, what's sticking out to you about Winamac and South Central, maybe if anything that you've heard or what you're preparing for this season while the coaches are here?
Yeah, get to be the first guy to answer this question.
Well, yeah.
No, the biggest thing, obviously, South Central is now we're in the same sectional, so you have that dreaded, like what obviously Coach Lambert and Coach Berry had, where you play each other week 9 and you may play each other week 10. I mean that's I'm sure no place nobody left to be in, and this is back-to-back nights seeing Coach Burgess. The big thing sticks out is his weight room routine must be working because he looks jacked. Right?
Well,
you can tell he's living in the weight room kind of thing.
Well, he did say that you have been picking up the weight classes. You said you've got a full 7 periods, right? Is that correct? You've got kids in each of those periods for weight class.
Well, they give me 6 classes. I would never take the 7th because I want my prep every day, so I got to make sure I have
It's where you lift a little extra.
We're in there all day, every day, so it's been nice. So
you
I'm
too.
About it. I always tell those kids they're a lot tougher and stronger than I am. I just gotta watch them and supervise them. So they're doing a good job.
Well, that's great. Coach Foust, I just wanted to also mention, we talked about the McGowen brothers, but there's more on this team. What are some other names you think we will be calling out throughout the season?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, our skilled guys, Tony Summers, Ethan Binion, those are guys that are going to have to carry the ball for us. We got Braylon Jackson, who's freshman that's had a really good summer for us. Hopefully he can bring some speed. He was a top 10 in the 8th grade 100-meter dash in state finals or whatever they have down in Terre Haute. So hopefully we can get him the ball and showcase his speed. And then up front, I mean, obviously we're going to go as our offensive line goes, like all the coaches know. With Drake Zord, Shane Martin, Logan Caldale, Isaiah Vela, and Robert Evans. I mean, those guys have done a good job so far this summer. But those guys are really the key. That was something we lacked, obviously, being able to move people and just some injuries and being young up front. That hopefully we've taken that step forward.
Yeah, we're going to see the Cavs several times this season. We will see you in Week 2 against West Central. Marc, of course, is on his way to be here in person. We also will see you, I believe, against South Central, like I had mentioned, and then, of course, North Judson, St. Pierre. Coach, it's going to be a lot of fun this season. What would be your mantra? What's the theme for this season for Culver Cavalier football?
Yeah, the biggest thing is just the little things like we talked about. This is a great team, and we don't have to coach effort. We don't have to talk about effort. Our kids give effort. But again, just remember doing the little things that we need to do, take care of that kind of stuff, whether it's making sure the locker room's picked up, whether it's, picking up the field and really challenging, that senior class that, this is your team. This is how you lead, how you want to leave things. And when you come back, 5 years from now, you want the locker room to look at the same way that you left and everything hung up, the field taken care of the same way. So that's really, what we've been kind of preaching.
Well, don't go anywhere, Coach. We'll try to involve both you and Coach Burgess as much as we can here, but we'll move on over to South Central. Head Coach Buzz Schoff, who showed up not too long ago. How's the pizza, Buzz? Give a little plug to Papa Farm.
Oh, it's delicious. I was thinking on my way here that, I'm the oddball in the group. Everybody else is in shape, works out.
Time out.
I'm a pizza guy.
I don't. I'm not. I'm with you.
So
I can play online now.
I'm just the fat kid at the table right now, so it's
amen, brother.
But you played D1 football.
No, it was Division III football.
I tried, Coach.
But
still, though.
Yeah, the eating regimen that they put me on to put more weight on it never went away, and hopefully it doesn't affect my long-term life. But
well, let's talk about the South Central Satellites with you, Coach. Let's see here. Where did I have you mentioned? Here you are. Head Coach Buzz Schoff. You're entering your 8th season at South Central. Can't believe it's been 8 years, Coach. 3 with you, with me. 8 years.
Yeah, not bad for a guy that they just said, you want to do this. But, try to leave the place better than I found it, and we're just trying to work our way up there. So,
well, to let the listeners know, the Satellites are now in the Hoosier North Athletic Conference and will be facing more of our area teams this year. Coach, you told me last week this was something you had been trying to get accomplished for a few years. Now it's finally happening. What are your reasonings for wanting to be in the HNAC?
Well, it just makes the most sense. You got all the 1A schools around here. It's all, when you look at the sectional alignments every year, it's always the same teams in sectional 41, so it just makes the most sense for us to play those teams around us as opposed to going east and playing 3-4A schools and just sticking around, and it was just something that was always kind of off in the distance that we didn't know would happen, but then they approach us and we jumped on the opportunity.
Yeah, and hey, it worked out for us because now we're able to cover a few more games of yours. We always love getting to the launch pad. Of course, we'll see you several times this season. You mentioned in the Indiana Football Digest you have a ton of open positions this year. You graduated a lot of 2- and 3-year starters, so you will need to learn quickly with a few key positions with young players, you said. How How has that process been going?
So it's gone well. We have a unique opportunity just because we through the past couple seasons we've had to throw a lot of kids out on the field on the fly. So replacing positions, it just wasn't the kid that we had on the starting lineup to start the game, but they might have finished the game. So when we look at our kids that we're playing at the right now of our starting lineup, they have a lot of quarters under their belt, just maybe not in the position that they're playing. So we do have experience, just not the experience that most coaches would sit and say we're an experienced team. But as far as the summer goes, our kids have learned quick and they've picked up what we're trying to do, and I think we're in a comfortable spot right now going into week 1, and hopefully we just continue to build on that. So when week 10 comes, we don't let one get by us again.
Yeah, first 2 weeks are non-conference. Yeah, because of what happened last year with Culver. That was an interesting scenario. You guys were able to beat Culver in the regular season. Reverse that. Wait, what did I say? Who won week 2 last year?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, South Central. And then you fast forward to the sectionals like you had just mentioned. A tough game that was. Falling to Culver, they were able to pick up the win. That matchup has turned in, and we've talked about it the last few years, it's turned into a rivalry for our area.
Yeah, and last season probably didn't help that. But I think that's why that's why it is. I think that's why our kids are excited when we have to play Culver. I think that's why Culver is excited when they play us, because it doesn't really matter what has happened up to that point. Anybody can win that football game at any given night. If we play each other 10 times, we're probably going to go 5-5.
Sure. And that just is a testament to that game. It just, there's an energy, an atmosphere in the air, just like our other rivalry games. Of course, they don't have the years quite like our other rivalry games, but it's starting to build a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, and I looked at it the other day. I think we've played Culver every year since 1994 at least. So, we've played each other a significant amount of times, and I think it's 19 and 21 or something like that. But and I don't really know why the rivalry's there, but we embrace it and just roll with the punches. But it's a strange rivalry for us. We've never been in the same conference. We're not that close together. It's just a strange thing that ends up happening. But when the lights turn on Friday night, it turns into a fun time.
Well, your first conference game will come in week 3 against the man to your right there, the North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jays. Might as well start off with a bang, huh?
Yeah, when we joined the Hoosier North, it was actually North Judson's superintendent that approached us, and I think he did it on purpose. He was looking for a week 3 opponent. So he said, well, let's just put these guys in the conference, and then North Judson can have a week 3 opponent, But
Brett's just laughing. He has no comment.
But that's okay. You got to play them at some point,
and
right?
You played them last year.
And we played them last year. They're a sectional opponent. It's just another football game. It doesn't matter if you play them week 3 or if you play them week 13. You got to go through them. So, it's just going to be another football game.
Now, correct me, you didn't play Winamac last year. Did you guys play South Central?
No, not last year. I think we played them in a sectional game maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
So this is going to be an interesting game there, the second to last week there at Winamac. We're going to be covering that game. That should be an interesting matchup as well.
Yeah, I think, but then again, who knows, right? It's week 9, or it's week 8, rather. Week 8, we could sit here right now and go through, what scenario could happen. But, I don't know what his team's going to look like then. They're going to be, twice as good as they are now, at least. And then we're going to continue to build off the season. So, it's just one of those games where, if we're sitting here right now, I would say it could go either way. But we don't know until we, get to that point.
Well, a lot of interesting talking points tonight. We're talking with head coach of the South Central Satellites, Buzz Schoff. Coach, what would be the mantra or theme that you're building with this team this year, or what's the overall arc for this year's South Central team?
My philosophy is always just win, and that doesn't mean just it's do what you need to do in order to win. If you fail at one thing, just make sure you do it the next time. Our kids have got to just be able to slow the game down in their minds and worry about one little piece. If I'm doing a puzzle, I can't look at all the pieces at one time. I got to look at one piece and try to figure out where it fits in the puzzle. And so as our kids are learning new spots and learning the game of football, they can't look at it as a whole. They just got to look at their piece and make sure that they're comfortable where their piece goes.
Was it Al Davis that said just win, baby?
That's where I got it.
That's where you got it? All right, good deal.
Well, one thing I did want to mention with Josh Burgess here is our last Saturday sports line. I thanked everyone that helped us in the broadcast. Buzz Schoff was one of them. I didn't thank you for helping us in that postseason game there. It was West Noble versus Knox. You remember that, Coach?
Yeah, dude, it was a good game. So
yeah,
I was happy to do it, get up there and see some good football in the tournament. And unfortunately we were out, but support a conference team from last year and get a chance to watch them play. So it never done anything like that before. So I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
No, it was a lot of fun. We kind of started that a couple of years ago with Culver Cavalier head coach at the time. It was Mike Zahner. Then we had Josh Burgess. Then we ended up having Buzz Schoff, who rode with us all the way to the semi-state matchup for Bishop Chittard and Knox. Man, it's just been awesome. We're able to bring in some coaches. You guys are willing to work with us. It means a lot. But Coach Schoff, I appreciate you being here tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have other questions. Did you have any questions about South Central?
No, I did not. The only question I would have would be going back to last week. The last couple of years, injury bugs have bitten the South Central Satellite. Did you get through the scrimmage? Okay.
Yes, everybody's good after the scrimmage. Nothing major. Just a lot of. You get those first-year kids. It's the first time they're tackled. It's the first time somebody steps on them, But nothing major. Everybody's intact, and everybody's ready to go.
Good. Well, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We're going to talk Stark County football with head coach of the Knox Redskins, Russ Radtke, and head coach of the North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jays, Brett Lambert. We're still waiting on Marc. He's on the way, though. He's let me know. We're going to talk West Central football as well. Maybe get a little cross-talk banter. What do you think, Chris? See if we can get these coaches to loosen up a little bit. Maybe take some jabs at each other. I know Russ won't have a problem with that.
Good luck. Yeah, good luck with that. I think a Snowball has a better chance of surviving somewhere else other than getting these guys to talk back and forth, talking a little smack.
Well, Lenny, as always, we appreciate you being here engineering this. Lenny Dessauer, our general manager, for all of our coaches to know whenever we go off the air, this is the guy that saves us. So Lenny Dessauer, big-time shout-out to him. We'll take a break and come back. This is the season preview show on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. Back for more here at Papa Farm Pizza in downtown Knox, Indiana. It's the season preview show here on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. It is now time to talk Stark County football. Mitch Columbe along with sports analyst Chris McGowen and general manager Lenny Dessauer. As today's broadcast is brought to you in part by First Farmers Bank and Trust, providing state-of-the-art banking with old-fashioned service. We thank them for supporting local high school sports and helping continue this tradition on KVB's WKVI. One more. Keener Construction is proud to be a Knox Redskin alum. They are excited to witness the Redskins take the field this season. Call Chad Keen at Keener Construction today for all your construction needs at 574-806-1387. We are now talking with head coach of the Knox Redskins, Russ Radtke. Welcome, Coach. I hope the pizza was good to you. The Redskins leave the Hoosier North Athletic Conference and join the newly formed Indiana Northern State Conference. Give us your thoughts, Coach, on joining this new conference.
Well, it's an opportunity for Knox to go back to where I believe used to be the conference when at one time they were in the Northern Lakes with these similar people with a couple others. So, your competition determines your level of work, and we just feel that it's a necessity right now for Knox to take that next level, to start going against some other schools and competitive-wise, giving them a chance to be challenged week in and week out all the time. Nothing about the situation, but we got 45 guys out here right now. We got a great freshman team of 16, I believe, and then we have a junior high that's fine. So we're building to try to make sure that we can, can keep getting larger in our attitude and our base. So it's good for the entire school too. It's not just football, okay?
Sure.
I mean, the band, the choir, everybody's got more activity systems involved that we're still pushing to try to make everything go in that direction. It's going to be exciting. We're going to be playing Jimtown and Bremen.
Yeah.
And then Tippy Valley. We're going against Tippy Valley. We still got John Glenn
right.
and Bill. But it's something to look forward. The only thing is, you planned on what we're going to do, and then the state throws us in a new sectional. So now we're going back the other way.
That way.
We're getting thrown out of one, put back in another, and so now we're heading all the way back up into the region and so forth. So we won't see any of those until we actually see them in a tournament run.
You were shaking your head, Chris. What's going on here?
I just can't believe Coach Radtke's looking forward to going back to Bargo Township and Jimtown.
Well, it'd be better than that 1984 year.
85.
Was it 85?
Yeah, was the monsoon?
Yeah.
Where we punted the ball and it actually went backwards? Yeah.
And a field goal that could have went in, and it went back out and picked it up, ran 99 yards for a touchdown. So it definitely was a creative situation. But
creative.
the Jimtown, again, is that aggressiveness that we have to look at continually, and having played in that sectional up there with the Marions and the West Nobles and Lakelands and those in that direction, it's something that we're excited about. We're going to have some fun. There's no doubt about it. And we played the Jimtowns and the Bremens when I was at North Judson, and we played them when I was at New Prairie, and now we're going to be playing them again.
Coach, you and I talked about it last week on social media, but last year was arguably the greatest season in Knox Redskin football history, going undefeated through the regular season and making it to semi-state. I know you have coached a lot of amazing young men and amazing teams over the years, but was there anything special about last year's Knox squad you'll always remember?
Well, I mean, the competitiveness week in and week out. I mean, there was no game that we weren't challenged in. The North Judson game, the LaVille game, the John Glenn situation. There was always that little thing that this team got better each week, and that was something that was quite impressive. You win 13 games in a row. That's tough.
That is tough.
That's 13 weeks of football and trying to keep everybody healthy.
Healthy, everything.
And if we wouldn't have played the University of Chittard, we might have had an opportunity in Indianapolis. But those guys really grew, and as a result of it, the knowledge that they gained each week to get better, just like these gentlemen said, you bring new people in, you put them in positions and lineups. We had to change our lineups a lot during that run just because of what type of offenses we were going against and how many different things the defense has to do. One week you're stopping an option, next week you're throwing, we got a team throwing 49 passes. We got, it's just one thing after another. And can you adjust to those things are what makes it a very tough opportunity. A great opportunity to get a lot tougher.
Would you say that game against Bishop Chittard, University Chittard, as you mentioned, do you think that was a good thing for your younger or underclassmen to go through for this season?
Well, they had 32 seniors.
And, right, and they swapped in the offensive and defensive line every two plays.
So, overall, you always want to say, I'd always rather get the knocked out of me and lose the last game.
Yeah.
Rather than lose it by a point or something and then dwell on it. And we saw where we got to get.
Wow.
If we're going to get there. And I think that put a lot of challenge to these kids, and that's how much stronger they've gotten, and the work ethic and so forth that they've to try to take that challenge to try to go the next direction.
You gave me a lot of quotes last year that set me up for good questions this year, Coach, so bear with me. You told us last year and again this year how you were 1 year ahead of what you had planned in terms of making a deep postseason run. You had then stated last week you believe you are on schedule. What has been the schedule in your mind for the Knox Redskins since you were hired?
Well, this is our 5th season, and we're building in the program continuously to try to add more and more things to it. And the coaching staff has worked hard to try to make sure that certain parameters that we were weak in last year, we were ahead of the game, And maybe the situation that we got put into, because you see, the year before, West Lafayette came up here and knocked the living heck out of us in a regional. Well, then our kids learned from that and found out what we're going to do. The next thing you know, we're down there, and we had 380 some yards rushing or whatever and control the ball game. So to take that next level, and when you drive into Indianapolis, those are different type of people down there. I mean, they just have it all the time. They're competitive. Their parents and everything, and the knowledge of how large they're getting and so forth in all their schools and that. The locations in that, anywhere in Hamilton County and Marion County, right? Aren't those 2 counties that are right down in there?
Yep.
You talk about a metropolis of people, and being able to, and then they have their parochial schools, like we just said, Chittard and Cathedral and all that, and then they have their charter schools that are only there for 3 or 4 years, and they're winning like crazy because parents can shop. They can find out where they want to go, what they want to do, and those type of things give that. And we coming from here, no matter who we are, we got a heck of a challenge. Whenever you show up, no matter if it's single A to 6A,
sure,
of taking on the numbers down there, and so how to get that down, I think it takes probably 6-7 years to get yourself to that level, because we've done it at other schools. I've been in 6 or 7 other schools, but when we went down to Griffith, and we went down that state championship, and we nailed Hamilton Southeastern. It was 49-0 at one time, and we were not picked to win. But when those kids hit the field, they played. We were not the best team out there on the field overall. But when we played as a unit and they were working on their individual assignments, they did a great job. So that's what I'm trying to say, that you've got to really work the P's and Q's, the small little things, to make it sure you get to that level. And that's where I think Knox is at right now.
Last prepared question for you. This is Coach Radtke of the Knox Redskins. Coach, you mentioned last week Landon Howard, who graduated last year. You stated he was a very integral part of the offensive line that called every blocking scheme. You then said this year you have a lot of quiet guys. How do you preach communication, and how do you get your players to initiate that on the field come game time?
Well, you got to be able to know what you're calling. I mean, you can't just make it up and scream out some kind of blocking scheme or whatever it's going to be. You got to be the leader that shows exactly that everybody believes in it. And sometimes it's a center, a guard, or whatever. I don't know whether we still have that person. In practice, it's mostly myself or the line coach that's doing that. We got to have someone that steps up and says they're going to take on that assignment. But Landon Howard did a great job last year of being able to listen to the play called by the quarterback, and then call the blocking schemes that have to be done, or to tell the quarterback this play ain't going to work. You got to pick something else. And if you can do that, then that quarterback has faith in his line of how well they can do it. And we'll get somebody there. I don't know if we're there yet at this point of the year because of that graduation point at that point. Then we had other ones that never talked. Like Isaiah Jones, he never talked, okay?
Right.
He just dictated everything he was going to do because of his size, okay? And we've got to have combinations of those type of schemes, and it'll come about. I mean, we got a lot of vocal running backs, we got a lot of vocal receivers and tight ends that want to talk, okay? But that interior right now is kind of quiet in there, and I think we'll get that done as we go.
So this is a question. Marc Hall of West Central just came here. I'll ask all four of these coaches next. Sorry to South Central and Culver, but this is a pretty important question that I have. We'll start with head coach Russ Radtke here. Hey, don't cover the bottom of the mic. It'll cut you out. Sorry, coach. That's my bad. Yeah, my apologies. That's on me. But we got you back now. He's got it upside down now. So, okay, we'll start with you, Coach Radtke. This is a week one question to our rivals here at the table tonight. Starting with Coach Radtke. Now that you have been preparing and going through it for this season, what is your honest opinion about having your historic cross-county rival in Game 1, Week 1?
Well, I've always played in it as the last game of the year, or when I coached in it the last game of the year, and I think there's no better reason to get it started right now. Let's get after it right away, and then measure from that how far we're going to get. It's just one of those situations. A long time ago, you did both go home with a tie, and that might have been okay. Somebody's going to go home with a W, but the other one has not lost anything because it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a battle. And all the years I've coached in it and so forth, we're talking about between the whistles, okay? Once that whistle's blown, then it's a difference. But when that whistle and there's a live ball, there's going to be some hitting going on. And I think there's going to be a lot of people enjoying the game that are lucky enough to be there.
Let's bring in Brett Lambert, head coach of the North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jays. It's working, Coach. Now that you have been preparing and getting ready for this season, what is your honest opinion about having your historic cross-county rival game in Week 1?
I mean, it amps things up. So I think, it gets the coaching staff and the kids. It gets us, not that we weren't always trying to prepare for Week 1, because we always have, but just, it means a little bit more. And it means a heck of a lot more to the fans. I mean, I think that's a huge thing for them. And, just with this year, there's, high expectations, I think, for both the programs involved with North Judson and Knox. So that adds an extra layer to it. But no, it's a great way to start. And I think it gets us just, I think more prepared right off the bat, which will only help us as we move through the rest of the year. So I have no problem with it. And I think it's better just because, it's not a conference game anymore. We're not going to see Knox in a sectional or regional, so it's not going to be a playoff opponent. So to get them right off the bat and just prepare and go after it, it's going to be a lot of fun. And like what Coach said, it's going to be a hard-hitting affair. Both sides have got a lot of pride in what they do. Some of these families, are related to each other between Knox and North Judson, might go to church together, whatever, they're friends. So again, I think it's just going to be a great atmosphere, and we're expecting a lot of fans there on Friday night. So it should be a lot of fun.
Well, we'll come back to you in just a moment. I wanted to pass the mic off to Marc Hall here. Marc, appreciate you being here, West Central Trojans head coach. I'll ask you some questions here in just a moment, but first, now that you have been preparing and going through it for this season, what is your honest opinion about having your historic cross-county rival, the Winamac Warriors, game in Week 1?
Well, it's definitely a different start to the season. As Coach Lambert was talking about, it does keep people maybe a little bit more focused. The coach is a little more focused on, we've got to be ready to go right away. One of the things we've talked to the kids about this offseason has basically been we've had some time to adjust some things if we needed to throughout the year to get ready for Winamac, but we don't have that right now. This year we've got to be ready to go Week 1, and we know that they're going to be ready for it, so we expect as they were talking with Knox and North Judson, a hard-hitting affair on Friday night. So we are going to be focused in and ready to go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Same question to you, Coach Burgess. Now that you've been preparing, how does it feel going up against your historic cross-county rival in Week 1?
Yeah, just like the other coaches have talked about, we're always excited for Week 1 anyway, just to see, the different things you've done in the offseason as that worked out. You've got kids in different positions. Maybe they haven't played those positions before. How are they going to work out? I mean, you just don't know until you get out there in Week 1. So then you add, a county rivalry on top of it too. It just, like Coach Lambert said, it just ups everything. as far as what we're doing. So, we're excited about the opportunity, and we're just really excited to get to week 1, and it just adds to it that we play West Central week 1.
Well, can I tell you guys how I feel? For WKVI's sake, this took away one of our biggest rivalries. We were so sad that we had to choose between one of your guys' games. Of course, we will be in North Judson to see the Knox Redskins and the North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jays, but I couldn't let that slide. We're sending our sideline reporter, Justin Ruff, to at least give us live and up-to-date reports on the battle for Pulaski County. Just kind of a sad situation there, the history that WKVI has in covering not only the Stark County, the Stark County battle. Now, we can't cover the Pulaski County battle in full. Kind of a little sad moment there for WKVI, but we're trying to keep that alive there and having Justin Ruff on location. But interesting scenario here for week 1 for a lot of our coaches. We'll go back to North Judson St. Pierre and talk with head coach Brett Lambert. You enter your 6th season already as the Blue Jays man in charge. Coach, I've been waiting to say this. Your Jays are back-to-back-to-back regional champions, making it to semi-state 3 years in a row. We know you have a lot of returning key players as well as a really good JV team and freshman class coming in. You stated in the Indiana Football Digest, as long as work ethic and mental focus outweigh complacency and individualism, then we should have a memorable season in 2024. Can you elaborate for us?
I was just told that was a good quote. So
that's what you said.
It's better when you can do it on. That quote was on paper and pencil, and I wasn't on the spot. But anyways, we got there are high expectations based on just what we've done. We got a good group of guys coming back, so we're all excited about the possibilities we could have for this season. But as we all know, sitting at the table here, things can change real fast in the game of football with injuries and just sometimes high school kids make bad decisions. So just us trying to stay focused, I think is a big thing for us on the year because, again, I'm not going to sit here and lie. We got some talented guys. We do. I'm very fortunate to have some kids who are dedicated to the weight room like they are and just love the game of football, and plus they just got some natural talent as well. This I hope is a fun year, and I hope we have some success throughout it. And the biggest thing that we always preach is the regular season we're going to do as well as we can, but whether we go 9-0 or we go 1-8, it's all about what happens at the end of October through November. That's really what we gear up for, and it's games like this Friday with Knox. It's that really go a long way because the atmosphere we have, or I think we're going to have this Friday, is going to be, I would guess, like a semi-state type atmosphere. And that's, again, win or lose, it's going to benefit both teams, greatly as we move through the season. Because then you get to, hopefully, a big game, a sectional championship, maybe a regional, semi-state, whatever. It's like, oh, we've been through this before. Yeah. We've seen a crowd like this before. We've had the intensity before. So, again, we got a really good group of kids. The staff's together. It's the same staff I've had for the most part since I started. We're just going to see what happens this year.
We remember names like Josiah McDaniel, Cole Kozakar, Cole Wilcox, Trey McGowen, and Brock Benson, all of which are returning. Coach, what other names do you expect we will be talking about in the coming weeks? Offensive line-wise, I really feel like we have probably as much depth as we've had. I feel like we have, because sometimes, 1A football, there's years, you're lucky if you can put together what you would think are, 2 or 3, varsity caliber guys, and then we've had that before. I feel like we got probably 7 guys who are varsity linemen. So like Caden Johnson's a guy who's really stepped up this year. He's been a big surprise as a junior, hit the weight room hard. He's got a big frame to him. I think he's like 6'4", 230, moves well. So we got, him, and then CJ Sanchez. I don't know if you mentioned his name, but, CJ's been, fantastic. His freshman year, he didn't play the majority of the regular season last year, but he's really looking good. Looks like he's back in shape. Cole Kozakar across the line. Harley Box is a senior, started last year. Tegan Hampton's a senior that started last year. Then Christian Hiddle and Evan Curley are going to be, some guys who are going to be subbing in and out on that line as well.
The backfield, you mentioned McDaniel and Benson. Grayson McDaniel's a kid who's a junior. He's an A student. He's going to be a big part of our offense. Trey McGowen, somebody you mentioned at receiver. Braden Staten's a senior that's going to, I think, do some good things for us. We got some guys. Cole Wilcox, you mentioned Cole Wilcox, I think you might have, but we got some guys there that are going to get it done, and they've gotten it done in the past. Again, if we can just keep that mental focus, I think we could do some good things this year.
You mentioned to me in one of our social media interviews early on last season, you felt like the team was in somewhat of a semi-state hangover from the year before. What are some things you learned over last year that you are carrying over into this season to be even more successful?
Yeah, so I think like last year, I think I said that too, and I felt like there was times in the regular season last year, I think we were just on cruise control. It was kind of like, hey, we're going to show up and do what we've always done, and that wasn't the case. Probably that Triton regular season game last year was the biggest example of that. I feel like our team imploded that day. But we did turn things around at the end, and I feel like this year, I think just based off some of the stuff that we learned from last season and the senior leadership we have, I feel like we're kind of, at least I hope so. It's easy to say this, we haven't even played week one, but I feel like we're kind of taking off where we left off in that Adams Central game in the semi-state, so I hope that's the case, but it kind of has that feel right now, but we'll see. You never know with high school kids, until they show up on Friday.
Mantra or theme for this year's North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jay football team?
Oh gosh, I'm always saying something. One thing we've talked about before. We got a lot of stuff we say.
He does.
I mean, we've been close. We've been close the last 3 years, and again, there's nothing, like I've said before, nothing's guaranteed, but just if we can get a little more in 24. I mean, that's kind of the thought process there. Let's get a little bit more. If each kid can give a little bit more effort, in the off season, a little bit more in the weight room, make the practice, a little bit at higher pace, and that's something I preached about. Just let's make sure that if you want to play fast and hard on Friday night, you better be doing it at practice. If you're not doing it at practice, you can't just snap your fingers and it happens. So just trying to get a little bit more in 24. I guess that's we'll take that as the motto right now.
A little bit more in 24 for the North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jays. I like that, Chris. Coach, a question for you is, do you have any questions for any of the coaches at this table? You're going to see the Knox Redskins week one. You're going to see your other rival, the Winamac Warriors, later on the season. You're going to see South Central. You've got the coaches at your disposal. Do you have any questions that you want to know from these guys? Not that they'd tell you the truth anyway.
Oh, so they can actually lie to me? They can't tell the I thought they had to tell the truth. I was going to ask Russ if he's definitely, what he's playing on defense and what is, if they're going to blitz right off the bat. I was going to ask him that, but I don't think I'm going to get a straight answer on it.
You got an answer, Coach?
Just want to win the toss, get the ball first.
Let's win the toss and get the ball first.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Well, you won't even have a toss.
What? You're covering the bottom of the mic. What'd you say?
So, I did Don Howe one year. We went up to a regional championship up there, and he just says, well, I want to play defense. I said, I want to play offense. So the referee says, all right, you're going to receive the ball and you're kicking off.
That's how it's. What year was this?
Don't even flip a coin. So,
what year was this?
Oh, man, it had been probably 79 or something like that. No, it had been 95 or 96. So, you can't really say what's going to happen in the game, because I think this is a game where I don't know what defense I'm going to be playing until the second or third quarter, see what's working.
Yeah.
And offensively, I think both teams are going to just keep working to find out what it is. And I don't think anybody can feel safe with a touchdown. It's going to be pretty exciting all the way around, because there's a lot of talent out there on that field. And you're going to see some things that are going to be fantastic, and we've got a couple new staff members that have come on and really worked hard in our program, and our basketball coach last year, Joe.
Yes,
He's
I saw him out there. I saw him out there.
Ain't bad, huh?
He's looking good.
He runs every basketball coach off that ever been there. I hired him as soon as he released himself from the varsity staff. I put him on our staff as an offensive line coach. So these are things that we're trying to do, and he can relate to the kids and get information across, and he works quite well with them, and he's very sincere what's going to happen. So, yeah, it's going to be a great opportunity for both staffs, too, to see how they can adjust and do things during the ballgame.
Man, you guys are doing a great job of building this up for me. I don't have to do anything, but we'll transition now to Marc Call, the West Central Trojans. Coach, I appreciate you being here. Year 11, Coach. Can you believe it's been 11 years there at West Central for you?
It's some days, yes. Some days it seems really fast.
Of course, you teach there as well. You're very involved with West Central and Trojan Nation as a whole, but the last 2 seasons have been really great years for your Trojans, Marc. At one point through the last 2 years, you were on a 13-game regular season winning streak. I know you graduated a lot of seniors over those last 2 years, but I read in the Indiana Football Digest you stated you had gotten a lot of younger guys valuable minutes over that course. And the key is now to see how quick they can go from being role players to now being the guys that are at the forefront of what you will be doing offensively and defensively. Has this summer been good to your guys in terms of being prepared for this next step for them?
Well, we're going to find out Friday. We sure hope so. They've gotten in the weight room. They've done the things they're supposed to in the off season. We've had a pretty successful off season. We've had weight room numbers. Guys have been there. They've gotten stronger. So now it's going to be, are they able to do it on Friday night? Can we make that transition to it? And we've had, as you said there, a lot of good guys the last 2 years that we've had in the program. And the positive is that we've had these guys that are younger. They've gotten their opportunities to get in there when the game wasn't really on the line. So they've gotten their feet wet a little bit, and now it's going to be, can they perform when it matters? So we're going to find out Friday night, and I feel pretty good that they're going to be able to do that from what we saw this summer with the different scrimmages we did. We went to Manchester for a week, and I thought our guys performed really well against different teams, some bigger teams that we normally aren't going to be going against, and I was very pleased with that. So hopefully this Friday we just come out and we're confident in what we do.
Yeah, we remember names like Christian Hughes, Addison Huber, Dre Villarreal. Talk about them, but also other players you believe will be key factors each week this season as of now.
Yeah, they're going to be huge factors there with Addison and Christian both being seniors. It's now their turn to keep this moving in the right direction. That we got it started a couple of years ago. Now it's their turn as seniors to keep it going. Jaden Miller is another one of those seniors that is going to be doing a lot of things for us, and he is a sophomore, started a few games, then as a junior started games. So there's several of those now seniors that they were starters as sophomores when we had those two larger classes in front of them. So they've had their opportunity to kind of get in there and not necessarily have to be the leader behind everything. So now it's their turn to be the leaders with it. Dre, you mentioned, last year was our leading tackler as a sophomore. Now as a junior, he's going to be expected to do a little bit more. So we expected a lot of things out of him as well, and he's put on about 20 pounds this offseason.
Wow.
And gotten a lot stronger in the weight room. Same with Jaden Miller, done the same thing. Another person we're really excited about is Caden Gutwine, a sophomore kid. Gotten a lot stronger in the offseason. He's going to be relied upon a lot. He's a kid that went in and was one of our first guys that go in when we were able to have some leads last year, and now it's going to be, hey, you're in there from the beginning. So it's going to be, what can you do for us now? And I think he's going to be able to do quite a bit for us as the season goes on. And Landon Hughes is another one of the kids that he's the youngest brother of the Hughes brothers. He's now a sophomore, and he's another one that put on weight this offseason because it was necessary for him. So he's had a more comfortable weight for me to say, hey, you need to be out there. I still like to see him get a little bit bigger like his brothers, but he's on his way, as he is only a sophomore right now. But those guys, I think, are going to be able to step up really well for us and do a really nice job for us. Yeah,
you'll take on the Winamac Warriors, your historic cross-county rival, this coming Friday. The following week, we will see you in Culver as you take on the Culver Cavs. Any questions you may have for Coach Burgess here while I've got him here? I mean, he's your rival, Coach. It's a big game Friday. Yeah. What's on your mind about Winamac right now?
I don't know. They defensively, they got a lot of different things they like to do from year to year, so I don't know. Like last year, they threw that 5-2 stuff out there when they went against Judson. I don't know if they're going to throw that out there, if they're going to keep that 4-3 from the scrimmage.
We're still trying to figure out what we can do right now, so that's still up in the air. We'll see if we have something ready by Friday.
Well, and I think that's one of the more interesting points of having, you say it is a non-conference game, but the weight behind this game for the Redskins and the Blue Jays and the Trojans and the Warriors, there's a little bit more weight behind this game because of the rivalry, and that's kind of what I was getting at. You're still piecing things together in week one, but you've got to piece it together to go up against your historic rival. I mean, I'm sure that's not easy to do, Coach.
Well, it is just getting ready for the season, as you said. We aren't in the conference with them, so it doesn't really matter as far as a conference race type thing. But it's our rival.
It's the big one.
So those are ones that, if you take, for example, like Michigan and Ohio State, if you win that one, then you're good. Type thing. So it's one of those things that we got to make sure that we were prepared for, and I think we've done a nice job of that. And we'll see Friday.
Yeah, we will see Friday, Coach. You got a response for that? What do you want to see? What are you thinking you'll see from the West Central Trojans this week? Maybe you have some questions for Marc Hall.
I'm sure we'll see the option tag. Coach Hall does a great job with what he has and getting his kids prepared. So, we'll just try to get prepared as best we can. And like you said, it's going to be a good high school football game. I'm sure there'll be a lot of fans in the stands, and hey, every week's important, but it just adds a little bit to it. So we're really just looking forward to the opportunity and kind of see where we're at and where we could be going forward.
Yeah, very interesting about the Winamac Warriors and the West Central Trojans. We don't know exactly who they'll be, but we do know we're going to see some new quarterbacks out there this year, Chris, between the both of them. It'll be interesting to hear what Justin Ruff reports to us of who we're seeing out there on the field from both of these two teams.
Yeah, in week 2, I'll actually be up at LaVille, covering North Judson LaVille from the sideline while you're in Culver at South or West Central, whatever, at Culver.
At Culver.
I think, speaking from experience and being a former head coach, I think probably the biggest thing, or anxiety going into week 1, is the fact that are they going to do what they did last year? What are the new wrinkles going to be? I go back to when I was the defense coordinator at North Judson before I became a head coach. We go in John Glenn week 1, and they were a power I team the year before, and then they come in week 1 and they're running wing T. And we had no idea. I mean, there was no exchanging of scrimmage film back then, so we had no idea that they were running wing T, and so we had to make adjustments on the fly in the game. And I think, week 1, as head coaches, you guys all know this, the team that can make the best adjustments on the fly is usually the team that wins. It may not be the better team that wins week 1. It's the coaching staff that makes the best adjustments in game. And do you guys care to comment on that? Am I wrong? Am I right? There's a reason probably why I'm not a head coach anymore. I'm actually a sports analyst, as they like to call me.
It sounds better. But yeah,
no doubt. We're at the beginning of the season, and we're coaching teenagers, okay?
Right.
And I don't know what they're going to do on that first play.
Exactly.
And no matter how much you look at it, and you look on the film, you say, why'd you do that? I don't know. Well, then why don't you adjust to what we're going to do and then get it back down? That first series on offense is going to be the same type of thing. Settle them back down, get back to what our assignments are, and defense the same way. If you start, releasing inner desires that I'm going to get that guy right there no matter what, and that isn't your assignment, it's going to mess us up royally. And I think that's why You're right. And I kind of said that before. It's going to take some coaching staff, so forth, to make these adjustments during the game, and we'll see how well they're able to do that.
Coach Hall?
I would agree with that.
Repeat the question for
us. As far as it is a little bit more difficult to change things kind of on the fly because we do have a lot of two-way players. So sometimes we have to take time out instead of being able to hey, offense, let's go talk over here, or defense, let's go talk over here about things. It's we have to take a quick time out and try to figure something out quickly, or it's halftime sometimes before we can really completely solve it.
Well, on the flip side of that, the offense that you run, you guys never huddle. You line up onto the line of scrimmage. You call 3 sets of numbers, and your quarterback yells them out, and all the guys look at the wristband, and then you line, because you're reading the defense, and then everybody lines up, and you call out the 3 sets of numbers, and then you run the play. I mean, go to you week 1. How do you prepare for an offense where a team doesn't huddle?
Josh Burgess.
We just, it's different, and we just have to prepare, our kids with the basics, and then if we can make some slight adjustments to adjust to what they're doing, we can get that done. But we try to keep things as simple as possible, just to help our kids play fast. And the more complex stuff you get kids anymore, it becomes more difficult for them to get things done. So we've got our base set of rules that we try to stick to, and then as everybody said, you get a chance to make some adjustments. You have to be able to make those on the fly, and the kids have to be able to implement that on the fly too.
So the kiss and kill philosophy: keep it simple, stupid, and keep it likable and learnable.
Yeah, again, we want to keep it as simple as possible so our kids can play as fast as possible without a lot of thinking and just be physical and fast. So sometimes easier said than done.
Oh yeah.
But that's kind of how we approach things defensively.
But not only that, conditioning-wise, too. I mean, preparing for a team that never huddles, they're used to playing at that pace. Your defense can get worn down pretty quick.
Yeah, and especially, that's a concern week 1 with our conditioning. I think our conditioning is good, but, again, like these guys have said, you don't know until you get out there week 1 and see what happens. So, there's a lot of variables that happen week 1 that maybe don't happen so much as you get into the season. And it makes it a little more interesting and exciting, and maybe not as much fun for us, but I'm sure for the fans. So.
Yeah, let's ask Coach Foust.
I got a question for Coach Foust.
Fast forward to week 2, same situation for him.
Well, I want to go week 1. Coach Foust, you got Attica, right? Week 1.
Yep, you got Attica.
They haven't won a game in 3 years.
Yep.
And so how do you handle the expectations there?
Yeah. So obviously, we told our kids. I think it was last year, right around week 3, we were getting ready to play Knox, and Attica came open. We sent them an email. They agreed to drive 2.5 hours in about 10 minutes. So obviously they're looking that this is going to be a win for them. I mean that's the nature of it. We're hoping it's a win for us. They're hoping it's a win for them. Get the monkey out of the back, and that's going to be obviously the challenge for our kids. Thankfully, we don't have to go to Attica this year. Our seniors are happy about that. But yeah, I mean that's obviously the challenge and the monkey on the back. And again, it's not. I mean, it obviously goes through your mind, right? And you don't want to be that first team that helps them break their streak.
Coach, you do a really good job of keeping up on the area schools. Of course, you did have a stint there at John Glenn for a little bit of time. What's something interesting about this season that stuck out to you, maybe in terms of Cavalier Nation, but in terms of this area? What's something that you find interesting for this area's season coming up?
I just think the big thing, obviously, the new conference going to, everybody in it, 1A. I think there's going to be a lot of fun games. I think there's games that are going to be, obviously can be close games. I mean, I think everybody knows probably the top three schools sitting here is obviously, the Blue Jays, and you got the, Trojans, and, people have said the Pioneer Panthers are drastically improved, and, they're older. And, but I think, is going to be a lot of exciting games that's going to come down in the fourth quarter that you're going to rely on those 14 to 18-year-old kids to hopefully make a play, and hopefully make the right play and things. And so, I think if you're somebody in the area that wants to watch good football, I think obviously, going to a game in this area, you're probably going to see a pretty good game on a Friday night.
We'll start our last round of questions for our coaches here. We'll start with you, Coach Foust. What's your message to Cavalier Nation for this season in hopes they come out and support your guys each week?
Yeah, biggest thing is, come out and spend money in the concession stand, right? Listen to WKVI and, enjoy some football. Hopefully, we can light up the scoreboard this year. Our kids have worked hard, so we're just excited to finally get after it.
Coach, I do have one more question
for
Coach Foust here. Seems like every time I show up at Culver, you guys are wearing new uniforms. How does that happen?
It helps to have an athletic director that likes football and knows where cheap uniform deals are. It sucks to do the laundry and hang up after every week. Or, I was at Glenn. We had 2 sets. We had an away set and we had a home set. At Culver, when I got there, Zayner would ask the seniors, what do you want to wear? So they get to pick of what to wear and things.
That's cool.
I guess I was telling Marcellus Anderson, he came back and I said, man, since you're gone, I guess we're kind of like Oregon a little bit. We got about 5 sets of uniforms that we have. I think our middle school football team just got new uniforms as well. Some cool reversible jerseys. So, it helps to obviously have Mike Zayner at the helm, and he's a stylish guy.
Coach Hall, as we work down the last question, I kind of mentioned this last night, but what's your message to Trojan Nation in hopes they get out there and support the Trojans each week this year?
Well, before I answer that, I would also talk about this Culver attire, because Zayner and I played college football together.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And it did seem like every year we played, he had a new uniform. I was like, hey, what are you able to do? Because I have to
scrounge
beg sometimes to get some things. And he said, well, I just look around and I make the decision. I'm like, well, that must be nice. But yeah, see, they do have a lot of different uniforms.
They do.
Like every year they had something different. But as far as the Trojan Nation this year, just we've had a lot of success the last 2 years. People have been excited about Trojan football. Just keep it up. This season, like last year, we started our youth program that is K through 6. Currently, K through 12, we've got about 120 kids playing football right now. So we got to keep the excitement going and building up towards the future, and we got to take it basically a step at a time here and just keep walking down the path we're trying to get to.
Yeah, I will say that's one thing that stuck out to me last year was the support you had in the stands, especially that game we saw against Winamac. Man, what a close game it was. But, man, it seems like you guys are loud and proud, and I'm sure you're expecting that again this year.
Yes, absolutely. Anytime we can get a crowd that's into it, they'll be just help us if we're home or away. It doesn't matter, just as long as we're loud and we're being present.
Any in particular expectations you've set for this year's squad at West Central?
Just keep going down the path we have. Keep improving on it. We've talked with the seniors about where we've gone the last couple of years, and it's up to them now to continue pushing it forward and making sure it doesn't slide backwards. So that's one of the things we're just in the program is keep pushing it forward and keep trying to build towards the future.
Well, we appreciate you coming in, Mark. I noticed you guys didn't get any pizza. Was it too cold, or do we need to get some food for you? You guys hungry? Did you get a chance to eat? Okay, good. Well, let's talk with North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jay head coach Brett Lambert. Final couple of questions here, Coach. What is the overall goal? What do you envision seeing happening for your Blue Jays this season, or you hope?
Just get better each game. I mean, that's the bottom line. The program's ultimate goals, it's really the same every year. We want to get to Lucas Oil Stadium, play past Thanksgiving. That's the goal every year. I mean, that really is the ultimate goal. And, with any good goal, I mean, you're going to fail a lot. That's what happens. I mean, we got 64 teams in each class. So there's going to be 63 teams that are going to fail at being the state champ. But it's our goal to get there, and we know, though, that's going to take a lot for that to happen, and then there's no guarantees. But just get better every week and put ourselves in the best position to be the best team we can be, and let the cards play out once we get to the playoffs. But again, I just as far as the where we're at right now and everything, there are the expectations there. We like it. I mean, but we need to make sure that we have that 12th man. We have the fans need to be there. They can't take for granted that they're going to be really good. Okay, well, how about you get out and cheer for us? How about you get to the game, be in the stands, cheer these kids on, show them that they got support from the community, because that goes a long ways when you have the fans there and the stands packed, not just for home games, not just for big games like a Knox game, just for every game, every home, away, whatever. Even if you're favored to win by a bunch, or it could be close. Get the support there. It's one thing to say it and talk about
to
it, but
do it.
Yeah, back it up and be there for us.
So I think I hear you're saying you need some more cowbell.
I like that. Yes, it's a pretty good skit. Yeah, SNL skit. That's pretty good. Just get out, support us. And the kids appreciate that more than and again, I'll say this for all the coaches here: the kids appreciate having support from the community more than you'd ever believe. And even if you're winless on the year and it's the last home game and it's senior night, those kids want to see some fans there. And I think the fans owe it to the kids because they put a lot of time in. Win or lose, there's a lot of effort that goes into it. So again, support the kids.
Yeah, and that's something we pride ourselves in here at WKVI is covering all 6 of these area schools. We cover 8 actually, but all 6 of these high school football teams. We dive in. It's a historic tradition that's been going on a long time. Coach, you're probably the best guy to ask this right now. You grew up in this area. Talk about what the Saturday Sports Line means to you when you were growing up, but what it also means to you now as a head coach. WKVI, I feel like we go a little bit further than other broadcasting companies in the area. We really want to bring the local schools the what they deserve. They deserve the notoriety and the recognition. And I know you growing up in North Judson, you kind of know a little bit about what WKVI means to this area.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid growing up, I listened, to the radio show on Saturdays, and I had an older brother that played, so you kind of wanted to, maybe hear his name mentioned or something from the coach, and just it really does, I think, mean something, to the athletes as they get mentioned, and just the coverage we get. Not every school gets that coverage, and I think it's a really special thing, and just to have games on the radio and all that, it's really cool. So yeah, I know just growing up around here, I appreciated it.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you being a part of it. As always, you got something as well?
I was just going to say that ought to be a question you ought to ask Coach Radtke because he probably was here. I'm just saying he was probably here the first Saturday that they actually did the sports line. I mean, you've been coaching 48 years, right, Coach? I'm 48 years old today, so
probably 57.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
I'm not good with math, but
when was the first
1969. 1969. Were you coaching?
I played in 1969.
Okay, you were
probably
playing.
In that game. Was it the Knox-Judson game?
Oh, my gosh.
I would assume so.
I think it was. I think it was the Knox-Judson game. And Harold Welter, it was a mud game. It was up to our, we had sandburrs floating in Knox.
Must have been quite an old community field, I take it.
The real one. The one that was really in the Oakleys and the dirt and the sandburrs and the whole thing. So, I've been a lot of other places, okay? Don't get me wrong. And this is the only station I've really feel that has really covered the sport through all those years.
Wow.
And it expanded from football to basketball. Now you're in girls' sports and everything involved. It's just hard to understand when I was at these other schools why we didn't have any radio broadcasting.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a game that was going to be broadcast either. I know Friday night's game is going to be big, and it's on the state web, and I guess the South Bend station is going to come down, right? Well, they were at our place interviewing me today, so they must be showing up, okay? I thought they were out. I didn't know they were going to do the broadcast anymore. 46 or whatever.
Yeah. It's Sports Michiana now. Chuck Freebie and
because the old system is out. So, I don't know where you guys are all going to sit and have room for everybody that's necessary for it. But
I'll have the best seat in the house. I'll be on the field.
Can I boot you out if
You won't even know I'm there, Coach.
Okay, all right. But no, in order for all programs to grow, it's got to be there. That's why the Culver, the South Centrals, the West Central, everybody's in there somehow in this broadcast system.
Yeah,
and that was what's a little bit different because it used to always be this. Who was Knox playing or who was Judson playing? That's what it was. And now we're getting incorporated and bringing in all the rest of them. It's good for sponsors, but I can get WKVI all the way up nearly to I-65.
You can get us just as many places as you can. The place Brett Lambert just mentioned. You can get us all over the world.
Well, that's that computer thing or whatever. I don't know how that works. Okay, I'm talking about through the airway.
Yeah.
AM, FM, broadcasting systems.
Right.
This is something fantastic. And go back to the earlier question. If I got a second, technology today is beyond belief. We used to use 16 millimeters, and I can remember Dave Vesley and us back in the 80s breaking down film, and we'd wake up, and then here's that reel go around, bang. Did you get that last play? I didn't even remember when it stopped. But today
you and Dave Vesley were probably just getting back from an EMT call.
That might be true too. But today we have computers on the sidelines. We have the ability to watch the play itself immediately, and I think that's the thing that every program is going to make it better for kids. Because we used to lie to Saturday morning. And then when Saturday morning coach would come and show us the film and go, well, yeah, maybe that really not happened. There's no line anymore.
Yeah.
It's right up front, stand up for who you are. And I think that football gives us that. Because basketball can't do that, can they? I don't think basketball, I know I referee it, but I don't. You can't have that template on the sideline or being able to show a kid exactly what's going on in that.
No, and while you brought it up, you refereeing basketball, I used to love when you would referee my basketball games because
short and quick, wasn't it?
Oh, short and quick, and you were just going to call the obvious.
That's right.
The whistle wasn't going to be blown. I loved it.
Was it? And I used to tell the fans liked it that way.
I used to tell my girls in the locker room, okay, that guy there, he's not going to blow his whistle. So if you want to go ahead and maul somebody,
maul him.
You're free. Go ahead.
It's survival of the fittest.
Amen, brother.
In all process, and I really think all these coaches and how much they work depend on WKVI to be there. That you have made sure that at least 2 or 3 games have gotten on in all directions, because once those community people and people turn that on, they really see it, and it's good for your sponsors and so forth.
Yeah.
Because even when you're doing a Knox Judson game and you hear a Winamac Ford dealership advertising, you see what I'm saying? So it's all this process getting put together right now. It is fantastic.
Let's talk South Central real quick for a final question. Coach, what is your overall goal for this season, and also a message to Satellite Nation in hopes they're there for you each week?
I mean, the overall goal is, similar to everybody else. Obviously, going into week 1, everybody's aspiration is to be a state champion, right? But you got to get through the first one first. And we just want to improve as the season goes on. So we're playing our best football come week 10. So we're going to take the steps to achieve that, and however fast we can get there. But the goal is to just be playing our best football when it's time. When it starts to matter, and I guess the message to all the fans out there in Union Mills, Indiana, is it's the greatest show in Northwest Indiana, right? You're either going to see South Central winning a football game, or you're going to see Coach Schoff having a heart attack on the sideline. So it's a win-win for you. There's a reason why my wife doesn't come to games, because she's embarrassed on how I act.
Gosh.
And she's okay with that, and I'm okay with that. But, I'm not over the top. But, as a person who's played this game for a long time, who's coached for a long time, there's some things that I see that I can't do anything about. So I yell about it. So, that's just the way I go about it. But, like I said, it's going to be entertaining either way. You're either going to watch these young men, doing great things, or you're going to see the head coach rant and raving on the sideline. So, either way, I'm happy at the end of the night.
I meant to ask Coach Lambert this question as well, but I still want to stick with you real quick before we go back to him. Something interesting about our area that stuck out to you, maybe about South Central, maybe about some of our other area teams that you find interesting coming into this season?
Well, the interesting thing is coming from LaPorte, playing at LaPorte, and coaching at LaPorte for a long time. You never really gave the smaller schools what they deserved. You always thought that that was similar to like JV football growing up. You thought that those teams couldn't really compete with you just as their size. But the more and more I get into this, there's teams that are 1A teams that could play with 5A teams, given similar circumstances. Obviously, as that game goes on, 2A players won't be able to last in that game, but man for man, position for position, it's good football, and it's not something that a lot of those bigger schools really give us credit for. They forget that your offensive line coach is also your defensive line coach, your linebackers coach is also your running back coach, and they got 3 or 4 guys for each position, it seems like. So we're doing the hard job, and they're the ones that get famous for it.
Well, we go to Winamac now. Coach Burgess here. What would your message be to Warrior Nation in hopes they come out each week to support you guys?
Just come out and support the kids. And that goes, everybody's talked about it. We've got kids that work hard, and, the kids deserve your support. They need that support in their lives. And, hey, what else you can be doing on a Friday night? You can come to a game for $6, $7, $8, whatever they charge now, and you watch good football. You talk about the area and what stands out. I'll put our area up against any area as far as the quality of football that's played here. We've got great teams, competitive teams that do a great job week in and week out. And that's a credit to all the coaches sitting around here. So, again, hey, get out. It doesn't matter from North Judson, Knox, Winamac, Culver, South Central, West Central, whatever. Get out and support the kids and give them the support. They deserve that.
Let's go back to you before we go to Russ Radtke to wrap things up. Coach, what's something that stuck out to you about our area's teams or maybe the Blue Jays coming this season? What's something that's interesting to you?
Boy, on the spot. I think the more you coach, you kind of figure out that, like when you're growing up, you just think to yourself that I bet you these coaches hate each other. I bet you, they can't stand each other. And maybe in some cases that's the case. Maybe there's people sitting here that can't stand me. I don't know. But when it really comes down to it, we're all, I think, in it for the right reasons. I think we really do get along. Now, the week of the game, like I like Coach Radtke, but there's this part of me, we've got Knox this week. But once the game's over, you have that respect factor, and you're moving on to the next opponent. And I think we can all sit here and understand what each other goes through and our families go through, and just the time and effort that goes into it. So it is, and they always say, like a coaching fraternity, and I really believe that happens here and really throughout the whole state, where you do respect what your colleagues and your fellow people you're across the field from, you respect what they do, win or lose. And again, we all get heated at times. I get it, but I think there is that respect factor that goes back and forth. So that's something that sticks out to me. And again, as somebody growing up, or maybe as a fan on the outside, you don't realize that. And it's not always the case. I'm sure there's some people who don't like each other. But I'd say for the most part, I think there's a mutual respect and appreciation for the effort that goes into it, win or lose.
All right, Coach Radtke, we'll finish up things with you before we finalize this season preview show. What is the overall goal for this year's team? And then also, what's something that stuck out to you in this area, maybe about the Knox Redskins or anyone else that you find interesting when it comes to football this season?
Well, I just think that the counties that we're involved with right now and the 6 schools that are incorporated into WKVI has really brought football to a higher level in the entire community. Football is big time here around here.
Yes.
I'm telling you right now, this is it. And I enjoy other sports too, don't get me wrong. But right now, the community, the kids, the people, and you go to McDonald's or you're in the restaurants or you drive somewhere, it's always about football. And then how soon are we going to get started, or how soon is the next game? And then I think this carries on to how important these coaches are and how hard they work, because we're still looking for our paychecks for 3 or 4 years ago. I must be looking for a paycheck for 50 years from now. But we don't do it for the pay. You better look at that, okay? Yeah. We don't do this for our pay. And we sure we don't do it for our wives, because they hate us doing this, all right? Because how much time we're away and so forth like that.
Family.
But family is important, and I think that's why, like Coach Lambert said, we if you called or asked for something, or you needed a piece of equipment, or something was broke, or you need a film or whatever it is, we share everything. And we're willing to work, and we don't try to hide or lie or tell something in the wrong direction. And the expectation for Knox this year are high, very high. And we expect to be at a high level by the time we get that opportunity to advance into the tournament. And we just work every game throughout that entire season to try to get ready for that first draw to find out what's going to happen.
We've talked about it before with each. I've talked one-on-one with you guys. My dad was not a sports guy at all. In fact, he didn't play sports. But one quote that stuck out to me that he told me when I was little, and it kind of bridges off of what you just said was you should do in life what you would do for nothing if you can afford it. And I think the fact that you guys are able to do what you want to do in life and you love doing it, it's awesome. I appreciate you guys being here for this season preview show. It means a lot. It showcases that WKVI, like our competitors, we broadcast the game, but we're taking it a step further. We get the inside access with talking with you guys every Saturday morning. We get behind the scenes stories that our competitors don't get. So I sure do appreciate you guys being a part of the tradition here at WKVI. It means a lot, and Chris and I want to take it to the next level each and every game. We're trying to be better than the rest. That's the truth.
Yeah, just giving us the access. There are times, I'll look at you at halftime. You want to do an interview, and I'll either get the head shake, or usually I don't even ask because I know whether or not I'm going to get that interview. But again, just giving us that access week in, week out on Friday nights, it's invaluable to what we're able to do. And just a big thank you to all 6 of you guys sitting here, and thank you for coming.
And reiterating, Chris has been trained on how to run the Saturday sports line this year, so you don't have to worry if any catastrophe.
Christmas tree. That's all you got to remember, fellas, okay? Just help me remember Christmas tree.
So we've got that covered. Every Saturday morning, you can hear these coaches on the Saturday sports line, the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana, thanks to our very own Harold Welter. Folks, the tradition continues. We appreciate you listening to our 2024 season preview show with all 6 of our high school football coaches, Marc Hall of the West Central Trojans, Austin Foust of the Culver Cavaliers, Josh Burgess of the Winamac Warriors, Brett Lambert of the North Judson St. Pierre Blue Jays, Buzz Schoff of the South Central Satellites, and new coach up and coming in his first year, it's Russ Radtke of the Knox Redskins.
That's why I wore this shirt.
Well, that's...
Which school you at now?
I'm just kidding. Well, hey, thank you for tuning in, everybody.
Are we still on?
We're still on, Coach.
I can remember when
Here we
go
go.
to another school and you're playing at it, all right? And I'm ranting and raving on the sidelines, and I go, man, we gave up the first down. And they go, my assistant goes, well, that's us this year, okay? You're no longer a Griffith Panther. You're on the New Prairie Cougars, okay? And those guys that were running downs markers just went crazy, It's the same guy, he's just on the other side of the field, but he doesn't realize what team he's playing for because you heard over the PA system. But these are all little things that we all have a good part on, and I really appreciate being a chance to be a part of it.
All right, that'll be it. Chris, I appreciate you. We'll see you Saturday morning. We're going to Chesapeake Golf Course this Saturday. We hope to see you. If you can't make it, we'll make sure and call you. Your normal slot time.
I'll see you Friday night.
You'll see me Friday night in North Judson. Of course, we're sending Justin Ruff to Winamac for that big rivalry matchup. But this is the place to get all the inside access for your local high school sports. It's Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI from Papa Farm Pizza. We'll see you Friday.